Are the Saints a legit threat in the NFC?
Absolutely, they are. And that's a caveat, obviously, if Jameis Winston takes care of the football, but this team is good. Like, we watched last night players, right? Like, the preseason, obviously, Jacksonville is not a good team, but we watched players. And obviously, Michael Thomas won't be there at the beginning of the season. Marquez Callaway looks like he's ascending to a legit number 2 target on this football team. Think about this. Alvin Kamara is a top 5 offensive weapon in this league. And Jameis Winston's ability to push the ball downfield, which they did not have with Drew Brees. And I know it's blasphemous to talk about Drew Brees, but Drew Brees held the Saints back in a lot of regards last year because they weren't able to be as explosive as they needed to be at times, and a 3-interception performance in the playoffs. Still a Hall of Famer, still one of the best to do it at the position, but that's the reality of what Drew Brees was last year. Obviously, we always talk about Jameis and the interceptions and the 30 picks, but we also got to remind ourselves that this dude was the number 1 overall pick in 2019. The same year he threw 30 interceptions, he threw for 5,100 yards and 30 touchdowns. The Saints' explosiveness offensively was limited because of Drew Brees. And then defensively, this team played at a top 5 level last year. They still have guys that can get after the pass up front in Cam. They got DeMario on the second level, and they got Malcolm on the back end. And I love defenses that have a guy on every level. The Saints ain't going nowhere. They need quarterback play, and Jameis can give them that as long as he takes care of the football, and I believe under Sean Payton they will, and not to mention they got one of the better head coaches in the NFL as well.
Ooh, Marcus, I don't agree. Now, you say the Saints aren't going anywhere. They might be going to the street.
You don't have
second
to.
Line. I don't have. You're right. But they might be going to second line on them streets, right with you, Swagoo. That's what they're going to be doing. You mentioned the defense, right? Did you forget that they lost Patrick Robinson, Janoris Jenkins, Trey Hendrickson,
I ain't forgetting
Sheldon
none of that.
Rankins? We don't know the situation with Marshawn Lattimore, how that's going to pan out. Still got to face the lead. Not only that, suspension-wise, David Omiyata, he's not there. They lost Drew Brees. Michael Thomas is going to have surgery. That sounds like a hell of a lot of guys that were key pieces to your team offensively and defensively that you're not going to have. Not to mention, they lost their top tight end to free agency, and they just got their other tight end, Adam Trotman, hurt last night. So you tell me, how is this team going to contend if they're losing all these players? Dennis Allen loves to play man coverage. The luxury that they had last year, the reason why I think they beat the Bucs last year, both games in the regular season, is because they can match up with the Bucs. You have 2 of the guys in your secondary, Janoris Jenkins and Patrick Robinson, gone. How are you going to match up with the Bucs now? How are you going to match up with teams who can pass the football now? Because we know he's going to leave those guys on an island and let them play man coverage. So if you have a group that can beat man coverage, the Saints are going to get torched.
Go ahead, Marcus.
What season are we talking about right now? What season are we talking about?
2021.
The upcoming
2021, the season they lost all the players?
2021? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so quick question for you, Mr. Harry, and they lost all of these players.
Yeah, talk to me.
There's a number of teams in the NFL that lose players every single year. But that
Not the
doesn't,
Bucs,
you
the
don't
team in their
lose the
same
nucleus.
division.
I know the Bucs didn't lose the team. That's why I got the Bucs winning the NFC and going to the Super Bowl and playing against the Kansas City Chiefs. I know that. But the question is, are the Saints a threat in the NFC? We ain't talking about them winning the Super Bowl.
And I'm telling you no. And I'm telling you no.
Allow me to weigh in here since we have a divided opinion among the former players. Marcus, you're out of your mind here. Look, you said not the nucleus, right? Not the nucleus. Does Drew Brees and Michael Thomas count as the nucleus? Could you look, I know the NFL, one of the great things about the NFL, it's like Golston, like years ago, right? Like the Callaway comes out undrafted and oh my God, he's really good for the same team. And that can happen in the NFL, I get it. But if you took Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams off the Packers, nice, well-balanced team, kind of like the Saints, right? Both sides of the ball, they can do some things. But take Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams off and replace them with an undrafted wideout who's showing up and impressing people, and Jordan Love or whoever, or some quarterback not named Aaron Rodgers. And what would we think of the Packers? Because that's what just happened to the Saints. And Marcus, I agree with you. Drew Brees
Max, stop
holding
the
them back
foolishness.
in certain
Don't do that
situations.
foolishness.
But quarterback
Don't do
went
that foolishness.
from a strength of the team to a weakness on the team. And they lost their number one wideout, who like a year ago was considered the best guy at the position.
Hey, this is what they're going to be doing.
First of all, they have not.
Second line, right in the street.
They have not lost their wideout in totality. They lost their wideout for a matter of time. 2, Jameis is going to offer better opportunities for this offense than Drew Brees did. That's the first initial thing that I said in my statement. Yes, Drew Brees took care of the football. And obviously, if we explaining this and talking about this from the standpoint that Jameis going to come out and throw 20 interceptions, we don't have a disagreement on this topic. Obviously, I'm thinking Jameis is going to elevate what this offense can do because
so he'll be better than Brees
at the quarterback spot. What?
Because I think Jameis, if like one preseason game, not going to convince me. He had a great game.
I think
he's going to be better than Brees.
I think the version of Jameis Winston under Sean Payton this year will be better than the version of Drew Brees last year with the New Orleans Saints.
Well,
I do believe that. I may be by myself, but I believe that is going to be the case in this situation.
I'd love to see it. It'd be something to see, but the odds are against it.
Listen, Marcus, I understand you from the state of Louisiana. And shout out to my lemon pepper steppers down there in Louisiana, Algier, man. Shout out to my boy. Listen, I understand you from Louisiana, but I don't agree with you. The Saints going to be in the street, second line right with you.
I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn about being from Louisiana because I ain't a Saints fan. I don't care about all of that, what you're talking about. What I'm talking about is the fact that this football team has the weapons that they need if the quarterback takes care of the football. I get it. We can talk about all the people that's lost. I don't have them winning the division.
Okay.
Are the Saints a threat in the NFC? I believe so because of what I think Jameis Winston is going to be.
Jameis looked very good last night.
I'm going to repeat it. So Marcus thinks Jameis Winston under Sean Payton can be better than the Drew Brees we saw last season.